Let's be honest, America's pretty darn good at shopping, and yep, I'm not making this up. The average American household owns about 300,000 items. That's according to the LA Times. Now, let's talk about your own experience. Ever bought something you didn't need with money you could barely spare for your monthly expenses? We're talking about 5 streaming subscription services, and yet still saying, there's nothing to watch. A closet filled with stylish clothes, yet none fit. But the thing is, it wasn't always this way. Americans used to be more frugal with their money. Cast your minds back when your grandfather repaired an old wooden shelf rather than purchasing a new shelf. So, how the hell did we get here, drowning in stuff, searching for something new, since somewhere in the process, something had changed? To understand this, let's go back to the early 1900s. During that time, most Americans weren't concerned with the new gadget or the latest style shoes. They were concerned about making it through the week. Stores weren't places you went for entertainment. You purchased flour, boots, possibly a tin of coffee. That was it. Then along came Sears with a game changer, the mail order catalog. Hundreds of pages packed with things you didn't know you wanted until you saw them. Watches, furniture, pianos, even entire houses. It didn't matter if you lived in a big city or the middle of nowhere. You could buy the same stuff. That catalog didn't just sell products. It sold aspiration. It made Americans want more. By the 1920s, the whole racket leveled up. Advertising went viral. Radio commercials, newspaper pages, cinema jingles. Ad agencies like J. Walter Thompson began applying psychology to the sale not just of products, but of identities. From 1914 to 1929, spending on advertising surged from $1.4 billion to over $3 billion. And this is where clever ads started. They didn't just say, buy this soap. They said, buy this soap and you'll be beautiful. Buy this car and you'll be valued in society. That's when advertising turned from description into manipulation. And directly after that, credit. Department stores began providing charge accounts and installment plans, so middle-class Americans could suddenly afford goods they didn't actually have money for. Automobiles, refrigerators, radios, pianos. It was buy now, worry later. As one ad in the 20s put it, why wait? And not everybody believed this was such a great concept. Some critics at the time warned that fueling mass consumption with personal debt could backfire hard. Spoiler alert, they were right. Since, by the late 1920s, America possessed the 3 conditions under which true consumerism could take off: mass production, mass marketing, mass credit. They worked 9 to 5, went home, flipped through catalogs, listened to commercials on the radio, and thought, you know what? I deserve something. And that was the transition. We ceased to buy only what was needed and started buying things that made us feel like someone else. After the 1920s made America dependent on consuming, the Great Depression sent everybody crashing down into survival. World War II came along and spending froze. Everything was rationed. The gasoline, the meat, the rubber. You could not buy a new car or refrigerator if you wanted it. By 1945 then, the war ends, and the country has been sitting on years' worth of consumption pent up. People had money, steady jobs, and they could spend and spend. From 1945 through 1949, Americans bought 20 million refrigerators, 21.4 million cars, 5.5 million stoves. It was catch-up time, y'all. The government programs made it easy. The GI Bill helped vets buy homes. FHA mortgages opened the suburbs to an entire new middle class. And once you had the house, you needed stuff to fill it. Consuming became survival. You guessed it, but survival with style. Buying became the lifestyle. Now, people forget this part. Consuming goods wasn't just okay. It was patriotic. The government, media, even advertisers all sent the same message. You should buy more, newer, better, because you're helping rebuild the economy. And it worked. TV ads took over. New cars came into new neighborhoods. It all contributed to what historian Elizabeth Cohen called the Consumer's Republic. This idea that in order to be a good American, you had to spend. And the more you consumed, the better you looked like you were succeeding. There was, however, a catch. It wasn't a boom that included everybody. The black population, women, working-class families were consistently shut out of the loans, the jobs, the suburbs. The consumption then became an emblem of freedom, but the freedom wasn't equally distributed. Nevertheless, it was the good old days of the American shopper for the families that could afford it, and it seemed the future had finally been ushered in. Let's talk about the moment buying became frictionless. For most of American history, if you wanted something big, you either saved up or you scammed. But starting in the 1950s, a quiet revolution began, and it came in the form of a small piece of plastic. In 1950, Frank McNamara had forgotten his wallet while he was eating in a restaurant. The embarrassing experience motivated him to create the card called the Diners Club, one card that would enable individuals to dine in restaurants and pay later. It was the birth of the new charge card, and 20,000 people were already wearing one around by year's end. But the real shift came in 1958 when Bank of America launched the Bank AmeriCard. Unlike store cards, this one worked in lots of places, and you didn't have to pay the full balance each month. This was revolving credit, and it all changed. Its rollout wasn't subtle. Bank of America literally mailed 2 million cards to bank account holders in random Californian homes. Without outreach, without reporting, just boom, take your new spending ability. Soon, other banks noticed how quickly it worked and took part. By 1970, 1,200-plus banks were offering cards, and credit was suddenly an integral part of daily existence. It didn't stop there. To expand even faster, Bank Americard licensed their system nationwide, eventually becoming Visa. Another group introduced MasterCharge, later known as MasterCard. Now you had two giant networks, and you had credit cards everywhere. Of course, this level of spending had its backlash. Some were accumulating debt they could not pay. Others were receiving unexpected fees, or worse, having their cards stolen and used. So, Congress acted. During the early 1970s, Congress enacted legislation such as the Truth in Lending Act, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and others, with the intention of safeguarding consumers. By this time, however, the genie had been released from the bottle. Buying had become easier, faster, and much less enmeshed with the agony of having to pay. You didn't need to consider how much money was in your wallet. You just tapped, and the deal was sealed. And when the emotional friction was eliminated, spendthrift habits set in. Let's talk about the tech giants. Amazon was the first to normalize one-click checkout. No cart, no "are you sure?" Just a tap, and it's already on its way. Now with Prime Air, they're testing drone delivery that can drop packages at your doorstep in under an hour. That's not just shipping, that's instant gratification on demand. And once you realize you can get things that quickly, your behavior changes. You start buying on impulse, emotionally. It's more like summoning stuff with a tap. Walmart's doing it too. Their drone delivery partner, Wing, recently crossed 150,000 deliveries. In fact, a Wing executive said customers are placing test orders, like a single avocado or a dozen eggs, just to see how fast the delivery is. That's how dramatically our expectations have shifted. This isn't about need anymore. It's about curiosity, convenience, and the weird rush of novelty. Now let's jump to the opposite end of the shopping spectrum: luxury. Brands like Louis Vuitton don't move fast. They sell through status, exclusivity, and identity. Louis Vuitton isn't just offering bags. They're selling you the feeling of belonging to a club. Proof that you've made it. That's why their drops are limited, and their collections feel exclusive. Miss the drop? Too bad. That urgency? It's intentional. The rarer the item, the more valuable it feels. Even if you weren't planning to spend $3,000 on a handbag. And it's not just the label, it's who's wearing it. Think Zendaya, Emma Stone, Blackpink's Lisa. These aren't just celebrities. They're walking, talking purchase triggers. When Lisa appears in a Louis Vuitton campaign, fan accounts will ID the exact bag she's wearing. And guess what? That model often sells out the same day. In fact, a 2023 study found celebrity endorsements can boost luxury sales by as much as 20%, especially online. A red carpet look, a viral photo, a product placement. It all quietly whispers, maybe I want that too. 76% of Americans say they've bought something after seeing it in a brand's social post. 65% clicked on something they weren't even searching for. TikTok tracks the product videos that make you stop, even for half a second, and feeds you more of the same. Instagram influencers use Shop Now links and affiliate buttons to take you straight to checkout. And your payment info already saved. Apple Pay, Google Pay, buy now, pay later. Everything is designed to eliminate the pain of spending. Future shopping will not be a choice. It will be automatic. Connected devices now sense when you need more of things. And with artificial intelligence driving them, soon they will do the rest on your behalf. It also drives the advertisements you see. It observes how long you spend on a video, what you clicked on last, and what time of day you're most likely to reach for your device. Then it presents you with the very thing you didn't realize you needed, with a one-click buy. Luxury houses such as Louis Vuitton and Prada also employ the use of AI. When Zendaya or Lisa uploads a campaign, the algorithm promotes it to fans who will purchase quickly. The item gets sold out even before you get to hear about it. Even your voice becomes a shopping tool. Order moisturizer is enough. Siri handles the rest. Whether it's drones delivering in 30 minutes or TikTok turning scrolling into spending, one thing's clear: AI is making buying automatic. It's a little crazy when you take a step back and look at it. For over a century, layer by layer, America built a machine that turns people into buyers, constantly, and it works because it feels good to purchase. It's fast, it's easy, and with technology and artificial intelligence embedded in nearly everything we touch, it's basically automatic. But maybe the answer isn't to stop buying. Maybe it's just to notice it. To ask, who made this the thing to do? And do I really want to keep playing along? That pause, that tiny space between wanting and buying, that's where the real choice lives.